Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into an art form that is just stunningly beautiful, but it's also incredibly dangerous. I mean, we're talking about literally capturing lightning in a piece of wood. So let's just jump right in. How do you burn wood with lightning? Because the answer, well, it pulls back the curtain on this really fascinating, high-stakes process that creates some of the most mesmerizing art you will ever see. Just look at this. I mean, this is what we're talking about. People are creating these intricate, almost organic, fractal patterns. They look exactly like captured lightning. And they're putting them on everything, from little decorative pieces to huge dining room tables and amazing wall art. You'll hear it called a few different things: Lichtenberg burning, fractal burning, but no matter the name, its popularity has absolutely exploded, especially online. But, and this is a big but, behind all this beauty, there's a really dark, lethal secret. Okay, before we get any deeper into the how-to or the science, we have to talk about the danger. This is critically important. Seriously, if you only take away one single thing from this whole explainer, please let it be this. I'm not going to sugarcoat this at all. This technique can kill you. This is not your weekend woodworking project. It is absolutely nothing like regular wood burning. We're talking about lethal levels of electricity here, where one tiny mistake, just one, is all it takes. And look, the source material for this explainer is crystal clear about this. They say a lot of the videos you see online show practices that can easily kill you. And sadly, as this has gotten more popular, there have been a lot of injuries and even deaths from hobbyists who just didn't realize what they were dealing with. So you might be asking, where does all this danger come from? Well, the process needs an incredible amount of power, over 2,000 volts, to force that electricity through the wood. And to get that kind of juice, people often DIY it by ripping a transformer out of an old microwave. That little box takes the electricity from your wall and ramps it up to absolutely deadly levels. Here's the bottom line on how it happens. If you accidentally become part of the circuit, like say you touch both of the electrical probes at once, that high voltage current is going to find the quickest path. It'll go in one hand, right across your chest, through your heart, and out the other hand. And that can stop your heart instantly. Okay, so now that we have a very, very clear and healthy respect for the risks, let's actually dig into the science, because how these patterns get made is just fascinating. It's where art and physics really collide. So these amazing tree-like shapes, they have a name, Lichtenberg figures. And what they are really is a perfect picture, a frozen moment of an electrical discharge. It's the path electricity carves as it scrambles to find its way through something that's trying to stop it, like wood. And yeah, there's a whole history here. They're actually named after an 18th century German physicist, Georg Christoph Lichtenberg. He's the guy who first discovered them way back in the 1770s during his experiments. Isn't that wild? A discovery from almost 250 years ago has suddenly become this viral online art trend. Okay, one quick but really important distinction to make. This is not the same thing as pyrography, traditional wood burning. That's where you use a hot, pen-like tool to draw things. It's slow, it's controlled, and it's safe. Lichtenberg burning is the exact opposite. It's crazy fast, totally unpredictable, and it's all about raw, high-voltage power. All right, let's actually walk through the process itself. We're going to see how it's done, but you're going to hear me say this a lot with a huge, constant emphasis on doing it safely. You can really boil the whole thing down to 3 main steps. You've got preparing the wood, doing the actual burn, and then cleaning it all up. And believe me, each stage has its own super important details, to make the art look good, but also to stay alive. So step 1 is all about prep. You sand the wood down nice and smooth. But the real key, the secret sauce, if you will, is mixing up and applying a conductive solution. It's usually just baking soda and water. So why do you need this? Well, dry wood is an insulator. It doesn't really conduct electricity. This wet solution, this is what gives the lightning a path to follow. And here's something that might surprise you. You'd think you'd need some expensive, fancy hardwood for this, right? Nope. Turns out the best woods are actually things like plywood and OSB board. And the reason is pretty cool. Their thin top layer just soaks up that conductive solution perfectly, which creates these super clear, well-defined paths for the electricity to burn into. Okay, now for the burn itself. And I'm going to say it again, safety is everything here. These rules, they're not suggestions, they're non-negotiable. That one-hand rule is so important. It's designed to keep the electricity from ever crossing your heart. And things like a dead man's switch, that's a foot switch that kills the power if you trip or fall, that's a piece of gear that's highly recommended. All right, and the final step is cleanup. And obviously, this is after the power is off, the machine is completely unplugged, everything is safe. You basically just take a wire brush and scrub out all that burnt, carbonized wood, all that charcoal from the grooves. And this is the big reveal. This is when you finally see those beautiful, intricate figures that were hiding underneath. So once the dangerous part is done and the piece is all cleaned up, that's when the next phase of creativity can begin. The burn itself really becomes this amazing canvas. One of the most popular things people do is fill in those valleys and grooves with colored epoxy resin. It adds this incredible pop of color for sure, but it also makes the whole thing smooth and functional. It turns a raw piece of art into something you can actually use, like a tabletop or a cutting board. And here's another route artists take. Instead of filling the grooves, they'll actually paint or stain them. And this is where they can transform those random fractal patterns into something more intentional. You know, a burn mark can become the branches of a tree, or a bolt of lightning over a mountain range, or just a really cool abstract design. And that brings us to the end. I mean, the beauty of this stuff is just undeniable, right? It's literally frozen electricity. But when you weigh that against the extreme, lethal danger that it takes to create it, it really leaves us with a heavy question to think about. When does art, if ever, justify taking this kind of risk?